and they put out signature Caitlin Clark balls and other merch that literally sold out within minutes of them going.
A'ja Wilson is not pleased with Nike's increased efforts to promote Caitlin Clark after the company finally acknowledged who the WNBA star is and began heavily promoting her bespoke Nike Infinity Tour 2 golf shoes in response to recent backlash. Some fans continue to think A'ja is the best.
A'ja Wilson, 28 years old, 1,000 points in the regular season. Why is that not the biggest story out at the moment?
Exactly.
Why are we talking about Caitlin Clark?
Why when A'ja was releasing a shoe were we talking about Caitlin?
A'ja feels that she is the star, the draw, and should receive the most promotion. But regrettably, the statistics show that she has been the best player this year. However, when it comes to marketing, A'ja doesn't sell as evidenced by the fact that when Nike releases products featuring Caitlin Clark, they sell out immediately. And when they release products featuring A'ja, no one even gives a damn. A simple black t-shirt sells out in an hour.
A'ja Wilson is the best player in the league. Well, she has come out and she has made some more comments, and it is like these players just don't want these new fans, even though the new fans are the ones that drive the revenue, plain and simple.
A'ja Wilson continues to think she can take on Caitlin. She was supposed to get more promotion from Nike, but it's obvious that she didn't perform and didn't impress. The spotlight is shining on Caitlin. A'ja is unable to withstand the heat.
Noise that I don't really listen to, honestly, because I'm in season. I have other things that we need to worry about than what other people.
Nike is finally making an effort to promote Caitlin Clark despite A'ja Wilson's attempts to obstruct them. At least the company has finally realized who the true star is and is giving Caitlin their all. Hopefully A'ja won't ruin CeCe's chances the way she did a few weeks ago.
And it led a bunch of these players to get very jealous and petty.
At first, Nike stuck with Wilson as their main WNBA representative. But as Clark's fan base grew exponentially, they were forced to start paying more attention to her. People were talking about her on social media and in sports media, and even casual basketball fans who may not have followed the WNBA closely became interested in Clark. Nike realized that this was more than just hype. This was the future of women's basketball. And if they didn't support Clark, they risked missing out on a fantastic opportunity.
Somebody coming along and elevating the sport shine ultimately benefits you. Go out there, compete with her, try to bust her up if you want to, and all of that stuff. Just don't hate on the acclaim that she's getting.
Although Wilson felt that this change was a personal betrayal rather than a straightforward business decision, Nike initially made no significant moves because they had already invested so heavily in A'ja Wilson that they weren't prepared to change their focus just yet. However, as time passed, Nike's hesitancy started to show. Not only was Clark a talented athlete, but she was also starting a movement that inspired others to aspire to be like her. Nike recognized this as a significant potential because they are devoted, purchase a lot of products, and frequently encourage their friends and family to follow in A'ja Wilson's footsteps. Youthful fans are among the most important clients for a company like Nike.
We saw the jersey sales numbers. We didn't actually see the actual numbers, but we saw the top jersey sales in the WNBA this season. And A'ja, despite being a third-time MVP, her jersey sales were 5th in the league, even after Kate Martin, who barely saw the court the second half of this.
Nike had to acknowledge that Clark was rapidly rising to prominence as one of the most marketable athletes in women's sports. Her ability to attract fans wasn't just dependent on her performance, though her on-court prowess was a major contributing factor. Nike began to realize that Clark's appeal went beyond the usual basketball fan base. She was a household name in various areas, and a brand can really benefit from that kind of crossover appeal.
A'ja Wilson currently the best player in the WNBA? Yes. Is Caitlin Clark currently the face of the WNBA? Yes. Do I think if A'ja Wilson dropped a shoe and Caitlin Clark dropped a shoe today at the very same time, that Caitlin Clark would outsell A'ja's shoe by 100 times? Yes, I think that would be the...
This marked a turning point for Nike as they had to change their approach because Clark was attracting new fans, different demographics, and an intensity of enthusiasm that was difficult to match. When Nike spots a rising star like that, they know it's time to act. So, they started focusing their marketing efforts on Clark. But Wilson wasn't going to like this. As you can imagine, Wilson couldn't help but feel envious of Clark's quick ascent. It wasn't simply that she was receiving more attention. Rather, Wilson believed she had merited it and that Clark didn't appear to have faced the same difficulties or hardships as she had. Wilson alluded to this in her remarks to the public, implying that Clark's rise was partly caused by elements other than basketball talent. Up until this point, Wilson had been viewed as a modest, hardworking star who let her game speak for itself. But now, her remarks about Clark were being interpreted as resentful and bitter fans who had once supported her, beginning to wonder if Wilson could handle the pressure of sharing the limelight with another rising star. It wasn't a good look for Wilson. In addition to her basketball prowess, Clark's rise to fame was largely due to her ability to connect with her fans in a special way. Fans found that Clark was relatable, charismatic, and most importantly, exciting to watch every time she took the court. They were always on the edge of their seats, knowing that something special might happen at any time, and this made them watch game after game. One of the main reasons Clark became so marketable was that people wanted to be a part of her journey and not just watch her play. They wanted to wear her jerseys, support her in any way they can by following her on social media. This type of fan loyalty is extremely uncommon, and companies like Nike take note of it since they understood that if they could tap into this fan base, they would see enormous returns.
Oh, stop being petty. Stop being catty, cause she like a double-edged sword. She couldn't tell left and right, and it's bothering y'all, and I see it. Let's go, Caitlin. Hey, do me a favor, CC. Send your favorite uncle a jersey with your autograph on it.
Nike saw a huge business opportunity when they began releasing products related to Clark. The response was overwhelming, with jerseys bearing her name flying off the shelves and even basic items like posters and t-shirts selling out. Fans couldn't get enough of Clark. When Nike hinted that they were creating a shoe with Clark's name on it, the excitement reached new heights, and everyone knew that when the shoe eventually dropped, it would sell out in minutes. However, the true game share was the anticipation for Clark's custom shoe, which fans had been waiting for this moment. For A'ja Wilson, this was a difficult comparison because although Wilson had a devoted following, it wasn't nearly as strong as Clark's. And Wilson's merchandise sales were steady, but nowhere near the sellout numbers that Clark was generating. This was one of the main reasons Nike started shifting their promotional focus. It wasn't personal, it was just business. Clark's fan base was larger, more engaged, and more willing to spend money on her products.
Y'all stop being petty. Stop being catty, cause she like a double-edged sword. She couldn't tell left and right, and it's bothering y'all, and I see it. Let's go, Caitlin. Hey, do me a favor, CC. Send your favorite uncle a jersey with your autograph on it. And
it was a harsh reality that no matter how much she accomplished on the court, her merchandise sales just couldn't compete with Clark's. And in the world of sports marketing, that's what matters most. This kind of commercial success is what brands strive for, which is why Nike couldn't ignore Clark any longer. They knew that heavily promoting Clark would result in bigger sales and more brand visibility. Nike carefully considered their options and established strategic plans before deciding to switch their focus from a Wilson to Caitlin Clark. Since they had been with Wilson for years and had developed a close relationship with her, Nike, one of the largest brands in the world, didn't take decisions lightly. However, when Caitlin Clark rose to prominence, they realized that this was an opportunity they couldn't afford to pass up, and players like Angel Reed backed A'ja. In actuality, though, Caitlin is the face of Nike, and A'ja had to step down.
Seriously? The arrogance. People are going to consume what they want to consume and who they want to consume, whether you like it or not, and it's not up to A'ja Wilson to let anybody do anything.
Nike's point of view, this wasn't about picking one player over another or claiming that Clark was superior to Wilson. Rather, it was about following the numbers. Clark was attracting more fans, more excitement, and more money. So, Nike knew they needed to capitalize on this moment and put more of their promotional resources behind Clark. Of course, this didn't make it any easier for A'ja Wilson, who felt that this shift was personal because she had been the face of Nike's WNBA campaigns for so long, and now it seemed like they were moving on without her. However, from Nike's point of view, This was simply the natural evolution of the company. Clark was the rising star, and they needed to invest in her to keep the brand moving forward.
She's got one of the hottest selling jerseys in sports, y'all, according to Fanatics, led by the one and only Michael Rubin. Clark's Indiana Fever jersey is apparently sold out in all sizes. It was rumored that she actually outsold Dallas Cowboys.
A'ja Wilson saw this change in Nike's approach as more than just a business decision. It was a very personal one. She had centered her entire brand on her relationship with Nike, so it felt like all of her hard work was being disregarded when Nike began to prioritize Caitlin Clark. Wilson couldn't help but feel offended and frustrated by the circumstances. Wilson's relationship with Nike had always been solid. She had been with them for years, represented their brand with pride, and embraced her position as a WNBA leader. However, the truth was that she was unable to sell. Even though she had been the best player for years, her ability to sell products was lacking. Being a good player is not the same as being a star. Caitlin possesses both of those qualities.
Wherever she goes, ratings follow. The WNBA draft, the doubleheader to open the NBA season, ratings.
The WNBA has been affected by Caitlin Clark's ascent to fame. Her accomplishments have improved not only her personal career, but the league as a whole. The WNBA has been striving for years to increase awareness of women's basketball, and Clark's capacity to draw spectators and create enthusiasm has done just that. Clark's appeal extends beyond her on-court talent. It also includes her ability to engage with fans, infuse the game with excitement, and open up new markets. This is a big change for the WNBA, which has been trying hard to increase its fan base since individuals who may not have previously watched the league are suddenly turning in to watch Clark play. Additionally, sponsorship agreements for the WNBA are beginning to come in, and a large part of it is because of Clark's celebrity. Brands that previously might not have been interested in working with the league are now keen to do so because of Clark's appeal. The league will have more money because to the increased sponsorship interest, which it may utilize to upgrade facilities, increase player compensation, and expand the game's player base. Clark's ascent is also contributing to the growth of new women's basketball fans, who are beginning to perceive the WNBA as a league full of exciting and great players, which is changing the perception of the sport. Clark's accomplishments demonstrate the enormous market for women's sports, which is assisting in the WNBA's growth.
And
yes, the WNBA was growing before Caitlin Clark. Make that abundantly clear. But it was growing incrementally compared to the exponential growth you're seeing now. And this is just data. This is just objective facts. Be mad with data. Please do not be mad at.
Wilson's frustration was apparent in her public remarks, and she made it clear that she felt she should receive more recognition going forward. Wilson must choose how to handle this situation. She can either keep expressing her frustrations in public, or she can concentrate on her game and come up with new strategies to rebuild her brand. This is a pivotal point in Wilson's career, and her future actions will determine how people view her. Will she allow this circumstance to define her, or will she overcome it and demonstrate that she is still among the league's best players? We know that Caitlin is a huge star who can back it up on the court and is also a major marketing genius. This is something A'ja needs to accept.
It's not the reason. The reason is something that the WNBA's been battling since day one. Lack of viewership starts with lack of promotion. Lack of viewership starts with lack of networking.
Hopefully players will soon realize Caitlin's impact. If you liked it, please leave a like. Clark's ability to draw in sponsorship deals and new fans is helping the WNBA grow, which is advantageous to all parties. Additionally, subscribe to see more videos today. Hopefully players will soon realize Caitlin's impact. If you liked it, please leave a like. Clark's ability to draw in sponsorship deals and new fans is helping the WNBA grow, which is advantageous to all parties. Additionally, subscribe to see more videos today.